welcome to the Avid Knits podcast. My name is Sarah, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry both as Avid Knits. Today is Wednesday, a day in April, and it has been a whirlwind couple of weeks, so it's been a bit since I recorded, and I just thought I would stop in and say hi before the train continued. If you're new here, thanks so much for checking me out, and if you are a returning viewer, hi, welcome back. It's good to see you. I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe and keeping your heads above water. I have quite a bit to talk about, actually, so I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in. First off, what I'm wearing, this is my finished pink velvet, so this counts as an FO as well. My sleeves are roughly 3/4 length. I don't think I did any modifications, except that on the body, I believe it's just a box, it's knit straight down, and I added in waist shaping, but I didn't, so waist shaping typically brings your waist in and then back out for your hips, and I didn't come back out. I just came in, and I knit it a little bit longer than called for, so it hits slightly above at the top of my hip bones, directly where my waistband for my jeans sits, and I think my jeans are mid-rise. So I added a couple of inches and had to break into a third skein for the ribbing because of that. But I only needed a few grams. I didn't even cake it up. I just put it on my Swift and knit off my Swift. So thank you, Kirsten, for that one, because I do that for the granny stripe blanket, but it didn't occur to me to do it for my sweater. So I'm really glad that we were talking and she was able to stop me from doing the thing. I finished this a couple of weeks ago, and we had our first date night in a very long time. We got a sitter and everything, you guys. It was great. I finished it an hour before we left. I finished it and I steam blocked it really quick, and then I went and took a shower, and then we left. So I got to wear it out, and it was great. It's super comfortable. I have been sitting on this pattern for years, and now that it's done, I'm really wondering what took me so long, and I'm also trying to figure out if it's so recognizable that knitting another one would be in poor taste. But yeah, so I might make another one at some point. As a reminder, it is knit out of Farmer's Daughter fibers. The purple is Willow Creek. It's in her Moon Sisters base, which is a sparkle base with gold stellina. And then the light pink is the Dumplin colorway on her Mighty Mohair silk. And yeah, so I have a lot to talk. Maybe I'll just do that at the end. I'm trying to figure out how to structure my podcast when I have so much going on. I feel kind of weird just dumping things in the front and then chatting in the end and being like, here's the bags, okay, bye, right? You know, so I kind of feel like I want to intersperse that, but I haven't really figured out a good segue of doing that yet. So tell me what you think. Do you like podcasts that have business up front and you can just turn them off whenever it comes to the personal stuff? Or are you like me? Do you like to hear a little bit about that as you go? Or yeah, I just feel like knitting podcasts a lot of times say, you know, in case you don't care about my personal life, and I'm not, no offense to you if you are one of those people who is only there for the knitting content. But like, I don't follow podcasts because I'm looking for your knitting content. I guess if I just wanted knitting content, I would find a class maybe, or I don't know, maybe Instagram would be better at that. But whenever we do YouTube videos, I kind of like to feel like maybe we're sitting down and we're having a cup of coffee or we're having a catch up and I haven't seen you in a while. So I don't know. Tell me what you think. What do you think about that? I apologize for all of the scuffling. My tortoise has decided that he's just angry at the world. He's pushed his food dish into his corner he likes to sit in, and now he's like super mad about it. Let me go rescue him. Hold on. Okay, crisis averted. Yeah, so we got a babysitter for date night. We went out to a seafood restaurant here in Portland called Salty's, and it's right on the Columbia River. It was really nice. We had a great time. The food was amazing. And we got like I said, we got a babysitter. My son really liked her. So he had a good time. Speaking of Hector, I'll post photos here. He got a new mountain biking helmet, and so he's super excited about that. But he's been pestering me, not mountain bike related, but I just wanted to share that. He's been pestering me about socks. He really, really likes his hand knit socks, and he's starting to outgrow his. And having knit him a new pair and finding out that he can basically take my socks. Which when your 10-year-old has the same size feet you have, and I don't have small feet, you guys. Like I wear like a 9 to a 9.5 in women's. Like I have relatively large feet. He picked out this yarn at Tolt Yarn and Wool when we went up to Seattle a couple weeks ago to pick up my husband's mountain bike. This is their Germantown base. It is in the color 735, which is yellow. And it definitely is. It is 220 yards to 100 grams of worsted North American wool. It is not particularly soft. I would wear it as a sweater, but it would be one of those sweaters that you wear when it's really cold, because I don't think that this would be super pleasant, like to sit around in your house in. I find that if you have skin sensitivity to mohair or prickle or non-merino wools in particular, something that you might want to consider is that maybe your weather isn't harsh enough for the wool. So wool obviously is an animal fiber, and it was created to keep an animal warm and dry. Or not created, excuse me, but its purpose is to keep an animal warm and dry. And I have found, especially if it's not cold enough for it, that it can be extremely uncomfortable. I have a Let Lopi sweater that I knit years ago. I have a Tresta, and I think that I have been able to wear that sweater 2 times in the whole time since that I've had it, which has probably been the last 3.5 to 4 years now. It was definitely pre-COVID. And the only time that I have been able to wear it comfortably was when we went to Colorado for Christmas and we went hiking in the snow. And I had a tank top and a long sleeve undershirt and then my Tresta, and it had been really windy, so I had a windbreaker on. And I was horribly miserable. So I took the windbreaker off, I took the underlayer off, and it was me with my Tresta and a tank top, and I was fine. And the other people that were with me were still in like their North Face jackets. So it might just be that your weather isn't cold enough, because as wool sits next to your skin and your body, it warms up, obviously. And when it's cold outside, that makes a really nice airy cushion. And if it's not, then it just gets kind of stabby, and no, it's not great. All of that to say, I knit Hector some worsted socks. I use the Rye pattern from TinCanKnits. I knit them with anatomical toes, which is something that I do quite often on socks. Mainly, I just really like the way that they fit, but the active knitting is really pleasant as well. So basically all an anatomical sock is that you reach your toe decreases and you decrease every other round on one side, whichever side you want to be the small toes. And you don't do that for the big toe side. And then when you reach, let's say you do that on fingering weights, I do it 6 times on a 60 stitch sock. So I will do it every other row 6 times. And then I will do it every row on both sides until I have like 8 stitches left. For worsted, obviously it was a little bit different. I think I did it 4 times maybe. And then just every row. So if your sock pattern has a wedge toe construction, it will tell you to knit to decrease every other row for a while and then to speed that up to every row. Basically what I do is I just decrease on one side during the every other row portion. And then I decrease on both sides whenever we get to the every row portion. There are a lot of really cool really easy tutorials. Anatomical toes are not a difficult thing. And I think they fit way better. Mine, when I have wedge toes, tend to kind of turn around my foot, which I find really weird. And round toes don't have any structure, and I just think they look fun. On my foot, I think they look funny. They're fine on everybody else. Y'all do you. But I really like the anatomical look, and so that's what I knit. So anyway, so Hector has a new pair of socks, and yeah, he's really excited about them, and he really loves them, and he wears them all the time. I have to tell him all the time he can't wear them out hiking. He can, but I wanted them to be house socks for the most part. And I really didn't knit them dense enough for them to be good for boots. Although probably wearing them on carpet is probably a whole lot more detrimental to them than wearing them in shoes would be. Anywho. I left an FO downstairs. Let me go grab that. Okay. So I knit those socks, and I have been waiting on a couple of things to come in the mail, and one of them finally came. Not finally. A couple of weeks ago in my podcast, I was talking about the situation in Ukraine and the war and everything that's happening there. And I mentioned a tattoo artist that I follow in Missoula, Montana, whose family is Ukrainian and were able to get out. And she did and is doing, a fundraiser where if you buy her illustrations, 100% of the proceeds go directly to different organizations who are helping the fight in Ukraine, whether that be helping refugees get out, whether that be helping feed people, whether that be going to the army, whether that is keeping the NICUs running where possible. I will link her below. Her name is Anka Levriv, and she does beautiful work. So her Instagram name will be below too, but it is anka.tattoo. And she had a picture of an older woman smoking a pipe, and if I can find it, I'll put it here. And she chose to recreate that photo in her own art style. And she came out with this. And this is called the Hutzel Witch. You can purchase this on her website. It is a very large photo. This is an 11 by 14 print. I want to say I spent $40 maybe on it. And it was worth every penny. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to frame her, and I will put her on my cryptids wall. I guess I've been trying to kind of figure out what it is, whether it's like a forest spirit kind of theme I've got going, but I find it to be, so far it's forest spirits, but it's really any kind of cryptid I've discovered is something that I really enjoy. I really like the lore behind that. So that came in, and I'm super excited, and I've had it for a while. I just haven't framed it. My time seems to be kind of getting away from me lately. I also received another piece in the mail that I commissioned from my friend Sienna. She and I have been friends for quite a while. She and her family lived in Houston, and we kind of struck up a friendship over Instagram, and now we're really close. Like, her family is wonderful. But I commissioned her to make me this guy. This is a Leshy, who is a swamp spirit, like a swamp dwelling spirit, and she used a cross stitch pattern from a maker that I will link below. And so he needs to be ironed, and he needs to be framed so that he can go on my wall of cryptids as well. So I'm super excited to have that. I really love all of the details of the moss and the fungi. All the things that are dripping off of him, I think, are just absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much, Sienna. I really do love him, and he will absolutely get framed, but not this week because it has been a long week. So this past weekend, my friend Mariah, who is a friend that I made in Boise, Idaho, when we lived there a couple of years ago, came to visit me. Mariah is the maker behind Knitted Nicety. She makes all of my little notions pouches. I have a bunch of bags from her. I have talked about her at length. She has gotten her hands into dyeing. So she brought me a really beautiful little mini skein set, just a nice autumnal mini skein set, and I'm so excited for these. And she gave them to me with the intention of me making a gnome from, you guys know the gnomes, and I don't remember the designer's name. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad today. Anyway, I will link it. And the designer has a ton of gnomes. And I think she releases one every year, like for Christmas or something. And I've never made one, which is just the worst. But I'm going to make one. And Mariah was making one with similar colors. I think a couple of hers were swapped out, but she made a hat out of this, and she made a 3-pronged gesture hat. And whenever we went to go block it, I told her it looked like one of those like deformed carrot memes that you like the suggestive carrots. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. But there's this beautiful rusty carrot orange color. There's a gorgeous eggplant, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's got speckles of like a forest green and a taupe. And I think there's a blue in here. There's a beautiful watershed blue. The tonals in here are amazing. She's got this tan color with yellows throughout. And then this seems to be the color of the year for me, is this forest green, and it's got light and dark spots running through it. So this is something that I am super excited about, and I can't wait to use. So thank you so much, Mariah. I really appreciated it, and I had a great time this weekend. So I'm really glad you came out. We went hiking on Easter Sunday, so happy Easter if you guys celebrate that. I don't, it's just Sunday. But we got outside, which was really wonderful. You'll have seen that in the intro, I'm sure. And yeah, we really just kind of caught up, which was really nice. I was able this weekend while she was here to finish my other FO, and that is my Auster sweater. This is the Auster for Him from Brooklyn Tweed. It is designed by Michele Wang. I knit the 43¼ inch size. It is meant to be knit flat in panels and then seamed, including the sleeves. I don't have time for that. I'm going to be real with you. So I chose to knit the body in the round up until the arm sleeve divide, and then I went back and forth for the front and the back. And then with the sleeves, I cast on. They are bottom up, so you cast on, and I just knit them in the round, and then your sleeve, or your shoulder cap, excuse me, your shoulder cap is knit flat. And that was fine. However, in the pattern, you are supposed to flip your sleeve inside out. So this is gonna look a little funky because I just ruined the sweater, but you're supposed to have this juxtaposition of textures. And I just didn't like how the color changed on the purl side. I feel like it's a little lighter, I guess. It's a little more watered down. And so I chose to keep it with the right side facing, the stockinette side facing. So I actually have not tried this on since I blocked it. All my ends are woven in. These are just need to be snipped. I never snip my ends until I've blocked it. I haven't tried this on. I guess I'll do so now. Okay, ta-da! I knit the body shorter than was called for in the pattern because I am using a 100% Superwash BFL. And I've knit this sweater before. Longtime viewers will know I knit a sample of this for the dyer of this yarn. This is Red Stag Fibers. His name is Josh. It is in his Croft DK base, I believe. It's 100% BFL, like I said. The colorway is Glas. And I loved it. I actually had to do some sweater surgery on it after I finished it, and I gotta tell you honestly, I almost didn't give it back to him. I really, really loved it, and I really wanted one of my own. So when it came time to pay me for the sample, I just asked for trade so that I could make one of my own, and I finally did it. Mine has grown more than I expected it to be absolutely honest with you. Which is not a big deal. I don't have any problem with surgery the wrong way. So, I mean, if it bothers me that much, I'll just snip the sleeve off and whatever. But I'm actually really happy with the fact that it's big and it's cozy. It's going to be really cute with leggings. It's not super tunic-y length, but it is kind of longer. Yeah, so it grew quite a bit. It doesn't bother me. If it bugs me later, I will put the rack into my spin dryer and I will lay it on top and I'll just dry it and see if I can get it to come back in a little bit. Not a big deal. Superwash is super forgiving in that way. So I guess I'll just leave it on so that I can keep going. So I did finish this while she was here. while she was here, I started kind of swatching for my next sweater. Actually, once I hit the sleeve divide on this bad boy, I was thinking about my next sweater, and I want my next sweater to be in this. And this is Barrett Wool Co. So it's Susan B. Anderson's yarn. In Barrett Wool Co., it is in her, whatever, her Wisconsin woolen spun, maybe? Yes, her Wisconsin woolen spun in the fingering. It is a small batch, 100% American wool. Is 450 yards per 100 grams, fingering weight yarn. The colorway is Stone, which is pretty much exactly what it looks like. It's a pretty deep gray. I'm sorry, I'm trying to put the tag back in, and once you take it out. So anyway, the colorway is Stone, which is really aptly named. I'm not sure if this will show up on the camera. I have a really hard time photographing this yarn. It is a deep gray. It does have a very brown tone to it. It's not a blue toned yarn. It's pretty warm. I really love this, and I want to make something out of this so bad. I was planning on making a birch pullover by Andrea Mowry so I could put it in the DRK March to May cal. But that's half fisherman's rib, and the needle size in order for me to get gauge on this would be like a 1.5 or a 2. I'm not knitting half fisherman's rib on a 2 for a full-size sweater. I'm just not. That does not sound like a pleasant experience to me at all. I don't mind being a process knitter. It just doesn't sound like a great process. I will have to find another option. I've gotten a couple of suggestions for like Ellie of Skandir has the sweater hug. I actually think that this would work really well with floof. I kind of like the cut of that a little bit more. But I really just want it to be... My husband has a Redford sweater that he never wears, and I knit it out of Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is basically what this is. It's the different type of wool, but it's very similar in its fabric that it creates. And I'll put a picture of it here of me wearing it, and I love that sweater. Like all Brooklyn Tweed patterns, which are some of my favorite to knit, I will tell you. But like all Brooklyn Tweed patterns, it is knit flat and then seamed. And like all Brooklyn Tweed patterns, I didn't do that. I will knit flat for the top. That's about it, okay? I can't be bothered because my panels will not match. They just won't. I can't knit that much and be perfectly consistent. I'm going to end up having to stretch one side in order to match the other one with blocking, and I just don't want to do that. I've tried it before. Even when you have to do like the back panel of ribbing and then the front, you have a split hem or something. Like on my Bronwyn, the back panel of ribbing is longer than the front one. And even then I had a really hard time casting on in tubular with the loft in order to get the panels to be the same size. There's something about Superwash yarn, in particular the Brooklyn Tweed line. I say in particular because I haven't really used any of the other non-superwashes, but there's something about a non-superwash full wool that I struggle really hard with tensioning because I tend to haul on my yarn a little bit and I don't really realize that I'm doing that. I'm a pretty loose knitter, and woolen spun will absolutely let you do that. It will also just be exactly what you knit, whereas superwash is a bit more forgiving and kind of, it funnels itself into place a little bit better. I find my knitting style, I get more consistent results the first time out of a superwash, but for longevity and wear and what wears the best and looks the most flattering, I get better results from non-superwash. So I'm really excited to live in a place where I can finally wear it. Anyway, all of that to tell you that I don't have a plan for this yarn. But I think I really just want a really simple, basic number. So maybe like I think it was thinking about the Autumn League pullover maybe. I don't know. Tell me what you think. What have you knit that is simple and basic, goes with jeans, and just something that you really, really love? And please do not recommend me the flax. I've knit a few of those. I have actually knit myself one of those, and there's something about the way that it fits that I don't love. It is also something that I have knit in superwash, and I am not sure that for the fit that I'm looking for that it would translate into non-superwash for me. So yeah. I was thinking about something from like Isabel Kramer maybe. She has some really long line. All right, let's get real and unpopular. Everybody ready for this? I don't like crop sweaters. Like, I don't mind them, obviously, but there's a certain look that a cropped sweater, for me to wear it, there's a certain look it has to have. It has to be relatively dressy. And that's not what I'm looking for with this Barrett wool. I'm looking for something that I can wear hiking, that I could, if I can find something that I can knit as a base layer to take, like when we're mountain biking or something, I would totally do that. That would be great. Mountain bike jerseys are meant for the air to pass through, which is totally great. But it gets pretty chilly here, you know, and wet. It'd be nice to have a wool base layer. And yes, you can just buy something like Smart Wool, or I went to a mountain bike gear swap recently, and I met a lady who sources 100% merino fabric and hand dyes it naturally with plants, and I will link her below. I could buy something from her, but I have so much stash of just non-superwash wool. I have some Tuca wool, I've got the Barrett wool, I've got some Biche and Bouche, and I would just really like to be able to use that up. So I might just make myself something really, really plain. So tell me your favorite basic sweater options, and maybe that would give me some ideas. I got one more thing to share with you guys. My brother-in-law, my husband's middle brother, Hyro, whom I talk about all the time, he moved with us to Idaho. He moved back with us to Texas. We lived together for a few years. We're really close. And then my husband's youngest sister, Neemsy, and her daughter, Melanie, are coming to visit. I pick up Neemsy and Melanie at noon tomorrow. Onesimo gets home, and then we all go again at night to pick Hyro up from the airport. Hyro will be here till Monday. Neemsy and Melanie are staying until next Wednesday, which is why I'm doing the podcast and I have all this stuff to talk to you about, because I finally got my house completely straight. Mariah left on Wednesday around 10. I had lunch with my friend Camille at noon. Another finished object. I finished the baby sweater that I was working on. This is the Baby Boheme by Heidi Clem. I'm so sorry if I got that wrong. I probably got that wrong. Anyway, I can't remember the designer's name. And I'll put it here. It turned out beautiful. I knit it out of Cascade 220 Superwash in cream and artisan gold, I believe. I knit the 24-month size, and it's basically a sweater dress on this little girl. Ames is so petite. Anyway, I had lunch with Camille to give her Ames' sweater because it wasn't ready at her birthday. I had some problems with the pattern because I kept trying to knit it the wrong way. When a pattern, especially a colorwork one, tells you to knit it bottom up, it's because the little fleas and flecks that it gives you are going to be oriented in a specific manner. I was having trouble with the increases, decreases type thing. It kept losing my colorwork in the yoke of the baby sweater. It doesn't matter. Follow the directions. You don't always have to know better than the directions do. Follow the directions and everything went fine. So Mariah left at 10. I had lunch with Camille at noon. I got home. I had to go grocery shopping. And then I kind of wasn't feeling super awesome and fighting off a sinus infection and allergies up here this last couple of weeks, which is partly why I haven't recorded. I lost my voice a couple weeks back. Doesn't matter. I'm fine. Everybody's great. And Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, my neighbor came over for coffee. So it has been super busy. This is my first day of quiet, and you know, I did all the laundry yesterday and got the house ready or whatever. Today has been my first day of quiet. I really wanted to make sure that I had a chance to sit down and talk to you. I'm gonna have visitors for the next like 10 days, which is totally okay. I'm really excited. I had a point to telling you all of that, and I don't remember what any of it was, so I'm sorry. I did want to mention, though, a couple weeks ago, I talked to you guys about this thing. This is a pop shawl from Leslie Ann Robinson, who is a master at brioche design and shaping. And it was a lot of fun to knit, but it is not very intuitive for me. I don't know why. but I just couldn't get into the flow of what row certain things were supposed to happen on, how many rows were going to be in between them. I couldn't get into that. And it's a relatively large chart. I think that the whole chart is 16 or 18 rows, and I just could not get into the flow of the right side of where those changes were supposed to be happening. And so it's been on the needles longer than I've known Sienna, so 2018, 2017, 2018 maybe. So it's been a really long time, you guys, but 3.5 to 4 years. Words. And I remember telling you I ripped out the needles and I'm going to do something with this. Well, then it was on this couch with all of my yarn for my Auster, and it just sat there. And I kept thinking, oh, that's such a pretty combination. So I am indulging myself in my one shawl every 3 years that I knit. My last one was the time trade shawl, which I'll put a picture here. And so I started it a couple of days ago, and I used my Auster color as my color A. And then I used my light color for my color B. So I have my garter stitch panel and I have my first brioche panel. I have this beautiful slip stitch all the way up. This was section 1, section 1A, section 2, I'm in section 2A right now, or section 3. I can't remember, you guys. I don't know. I just joined my third color, which is this. So in here, I have Glas by Red Stag Fibers. It is a DK. And then I held this double. This is a fingering weight. It was a one of a kind from Autumn and Indigo from so many years ago. It doesn't exist anymore. And then I went into the garter section, and then I added in my third color, and it is this color right here. I'm not sure that this is going to show up on camera. Every time I try to take pictures of this, it turns out super plummy and like kind of pinkish, and it's not. It's a very blue purple with the oranges and the yellows in it. It's really, really beautiful. But this is Archangel by Malabrigo, and I'm also holding that double. I don't think I'm gonna have enough yarn for this, y'all. I don't, which is fine. I don't care. But I'm really loving how it's turning out. This is the Plumpy shawl by Andrea Mowry, and it's just gonna be a fun thing for me to work on. It's also gonna be huge, so that's okay. I don't care. So yeah, my one shawl every 3 years is commencing right now. It's like the super moon, you know, you gotta take pictures of it while it's happening. All right, I have officially prattled on, and I still have to edit this. So I'm going to leave you there. I think that's all I have. This weekend we are planning on going to Seattle, going to Silver Falls State Park, maybe doing the Starbucks Roastery. That's always a good time if you have tourists in town. We'll do the market. The Seattle market. We wanted, they don't watch my podcast, I can tell you, we wanted to go whale watching, and we were very close to buying those tickets for them because I don't know that that's an experience that any of them would ever have if we didn't push that on them. And but if you go whale watching in Seattle, it's mainly gray whales, which is totally fine. A whale is a whale. I've never seen a whale, so you know, it's all wonderful as far as I'm concerned. But apparently the boats are like 200 passengers if you go from Seattle. And for about the same amount of money, we could go from the San Juan Islands, and they're like 20 people per boat. We would much rather go to San Juan, but that's like a 6-hour drive for us. So you're talking 6 hours up there for a 3-hour boat tour, for 3 hours back for a 6-hour drive home. That's an 18-hour round trip, and they just flew up here. If it was just my brother-in-law, we would do it. We would force him just to suck it up, you know. But my sister-in-law and my niece are not travel bunnies the way that we are. They don't do what we do. For anybody who is new, we are absolute roamers. Okay, if I could get away with living in a van and traveling full-time, I would do that in a heartbeat. But I can't. So I just live vicariously through other people on YouTube. By the way, if you need an escape, YouTube has a lot of really beautiful travelers. Mac and Owen from Bound for Nowhere. And we really like Evan and Melanie of Out of This Van because they also mountain bike as well as having their German short-haired pointer and hiking and traveling. So Bound for Nowhere and some of their friends are kind of like watching PBS documentaries. Like, they're pretty cool. It's really amazing what YouTube has allowed small content creators to become without the benefit of, you know, federal backing and a film crew. So anyway, if it was not for them, we would probably have pushed the trip a little bit harder. But I think that this time, I think that this time we will forego the whale watching, which I'm really sad about. But they also want to do the Oregon coast, which if you've never Googled that, you should. So this weekend should be a ton of travel and a ton of beautiful views, and I'm super, super excited. I'm also hoping to get some bike time in. That would be really cool. But we'll see what happens. So thank you so much for joining me, stopping by, having a quick chat. I know it was very rushed, and it's but that's kind of how my day is going right now. So I hope that was okay. And I will see you guys when I get back. Maybe I'm not going to say anything about a finished shawl, but I'm hoping I'm going to have another sweater cast on, because ultimately the only reason I started the shawl is because I can't think of anything else to knit right now. And yeah, usually when I can't think of anything, that's when socks get made. That's when the granny stripe gets pulled out. That's when the shawl happens. Maybe a toy. I have a couple of friends in Texas who have littles that I've kind of been promising things, and I just start things and I'm not feeling them and I don't want to do it. And so I don't push myself to do so. But yeah, I have a couple of friends that have littles, and I think that they could probably use some stuffies. So maybe that'll be the next thing. We'll see. We'll see how I feel about it. Yeah, anyway, I hope you guys have a really great week. I hope that you can put down the heaviness and find a reason to think that that is worth carrying again. We all need it. We all need it. Otherwise we won't make it. So take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I'll talk to you soon.